Um, I've been feeling like a call for the dramatics and like just some like weird news that's been coming out, like just interesting like table talk. That's what we're gonna call this. We're gonna call this like a table talk kind of episode to where we're just gonna talk about some crazy drama out there. The internet and the world in general is just full of a lot of crazy people, and you know who am I to deny the topic of conversation of bringing them up? So I just wanted to kind of talk about some weird, crazy things that have been going on in the world. Um, and we could also do local. Let me just go ahead and make sure we are doing this correctly. I feel like lately I've been like all over the place, and especially this week alone, I've been all over the place. I worked a very long week this week, and I still feel like I am. Hold on, give me 1 second here. Trying to play catch up mentally right now with my mental health because I am drained. That's why I'm doing this video kind of early this week, just so we could. I don't want to say like get it out of the way, but just so I could still do a show and not accidentally fall asleep and not do a show later on. But hey, what is going on, everyone? I'm glad you all joined me here. My first topic here: have you ever been accused of something like a mistaken identity before? Because that's what's going on right now in Scotland. Here, let me paint the scene for you. A couple of years ago, there was a gentleman named I want to say it's Nicholas. What's his last name here? Oh, Nicholas Aldavarian. Okay, this is a gentleman from. I don't even want to call him a gentleman. This is a piece of you know what from Utah. Okay, he S8. I'm gonna go say it. Y'all know you could say R worded S8. Women back in Utah, and he decided, hey, I'm gonna fake my death, move across seas, and live a completely different life. I'm gonna um, avoid taking responsibility for my actions. So the way the story goes right now is that he ran to Scotland, checked himself in the hospital for COVID like symptoms, and it was here where they kind of discovered who he was. He went ahead and created like a whole different persona for himself. He started calling himself Arthur Knight. Started changing his physical a little bit. I believe he even got married over there. He's not here. Changed his appearance, has a whole different life here. But he seemed to be like this, wanted guy. So they ran his fingerprints. They came back to Nicholas Aldavari from Utah. They even did checked his SMTs. SMTs are scars, marks, and tattoos. Anytime you're wanted or you get arrested, they document any scars, marks, or any tattoos on you, so that way it becomes your identifier later on in case you're, wanted or to confirm your identity or anything like this. So he had a very prominent tattoo on his lower calf of I think it was like a red flag or something like that. Red flag, right? And what happened here was when he was questioned about it, he was asked like he was asked like, well, if you're not this person, how come you all have the same fingerprints and the same tattoo? Like, what's going on with this? And his answer was that when he was asleep at the hospital, someone went in, changed his fingerprints, and tattooed him so he could take the fall for this Nicholas Aldavarian guy. Complete BS. Huge, I don't know why people are believing it. But Dateline recently, this has been going on for a while. What? My dogs are fighting. This has been going on for a while, but Dateline decided to cover it, so it's kind of been just making the rotating around the internet. It's just been making the rounds, like going to Instagram, going to TikTok, and stuff like that. So I wanted to share the interview here where he's claiming that he is not this Nicholas guy, and it's all it's all fake. Let me turn off the music. Hey, what's going on? Let's pull up the screen. Arthur Knight interview. Yeah, so he's calling himself Arthur Knight. I think it's kind of a cool name. Yeah, I'm incognito because
We
I
were
don't.
once a normal family, but thanks to the media, our lives have been interrupted. And we'd like privacy, and I would like to go back to being a normal husband. But I can't, because I can't breathe, I can't walk. Let me try to stand up. Let me try to stand up. Exactly, exactly.
What do you say to someone who believes that you are Nicholas Alaverdi?
I am not, Andrea, I am not Nicholas Alaverdi, and I do not know how to make this clearer.
What do you say to people who say these are crocodile tears? He's putting on a show. This is all an act.
Oh,
Andrea,
no,
that's a low blow. That's a right low blow. We will.
Okay, hopefully you can hear me now. That was my bad. I had left myself muted when I switched videos. But like what I was saying, the judge in Scotland actually, made it official. Hey, this is this Nicholas guy who's hiding out here in our country, and they are looking into further proving it. I mean, there's already a lot of proof with the tattoos, with the fingerprints, with the fingerprints and all this. They're just gonna do a full, you know, checking all the boxes for the investigation on this. But let me pull up a picture of the two of these guys side by side. If these are two different guys, uh, the guy with the hat is Arthur Knight. The guy with the glasses is Nicholas Ottavarian, and he's claiming he's not this guy. He's claiming that he's lived a whole life here in this country of Scotland and that he's married and that his wife doesn't believe it also. But I just want to know, like, is she playing dumb because she might get in trouble because this is technically harboring like someone who's wanted by a different country. He SA'd two women. He R worded them. I'm trying not to get banned here, but he forced himself on these women, and rather than answer for his crimes, he ran and he ran and started a whole he faked his death and started a life in Scotland. We don't know if the wife knows this is the truth and she's just trying to help him because maybe she is in love with him, because there's people who do fall in love with people regardless of all their flaws and red flags and stuff like that. Like, I got my wife in the other room despite all my red flags. And DNA should solve the mystery. I would think that would, be able to fix it. But he's coming up with all these excuses that the fingerprints were fake, that like someone altered his fingerprints to make him match this guy, and that someone tattooed him in the exact same spot and even aged the tattoo. So who knows? I don't. So I think that's pretty interesting. This has been going on for a while. The only reason it's coming up in the news right now is because Dateline went ahead and did like a whole investigation. Um, it would be cool if they finally do say like, yeah, this is him, or if he owns up, because this acting he's doing is horrible. He's definitely up for a Razzie after that kind of performance that he did. Even when he tried to stand up and the wife like pushes him down and he pretends that like he fell because that he can't walk. Arthur Knight cannot walk, he's immobile. And that's another reason why he's saying like, this, I'm not Nicholas. Like, Nicholas could walk, I'm not. Like, I'm immobile, I need this oxygen to breathe. I'm not capable of faking my death and doing all these things to women in a different country and then coming over here. So that's kind of his um excuse there. Give me 1 second. Second story here. I asked this question on my Facebook, and it was 100% everyone said no. But do you believe it's okay for a female to physically assault her husband because she is the breadwinner? She's the one who makes all the money, the reason why they have everything they have. Do you think that's reason, like, that gives her an excuse to like beat him up a little bit? I don't know. I'm not saying I'm for domestic violence, but I mean, I take a punch or two to the face so I could be a stay-at-home husband. I don't know if he's a stay-at-home husband or not, but she is a very famous influencer. She has a huge following. Um she's established. She's a real influencer who actually pulls in numbers and stuff like that. And like I was thinking, I was like, okay, like, could it really be that bad? I was reading the story, and then I started like watching videos. I have a couple of these here, because he actually, the husband, started recording when she would go on her, attacks, when she would, start verbally abusing him first, and then it turned physical when she would get like really upset. And she really doesn't see it as anything bad. She sees it as um them just having a dispute, them just, having a little falling out or anything like that. So she doesn't see anything wrong in what she's doing. Hello. No. Why are you being so nice? Hmm. I'm talking about domestic violence. Do you want to chime in on it? No. Thank you. She brought me my Dutch Bros because she loves me. So yeah, I don't support domestic violence on any side. I don't think you should ever physically hurt anybody, especially the person who you supposedly love, who you're married with, and stuff like this. And then after looking at her, I was like, okay, I definitely don't want to get hit by her, because I thought she was just a regular influencer. I thought she was just like some regular, like all these beauty or like yoga like influencers and stuff like that. Nah, this chick is a bodybuilder. Okay, I feel like one punch from her, I'm out until Christmas. Like, let me pull up a picture of her. Like, it is very. She scared me. Ba, 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 ba. Let me see if I can find a picture of her. So she's I don't want to say ripped, but she's toned. She's swole. I think that's the term people use now. Okay, Where is she? There's a lot of people who have her name, who share her name here, so I'm just trying to. Her name is Jessica Piccoli. I think that's how you pronounce it, Jessica Piccoli. And let me get rid of these ads. So I would be terrified. I do like, she's on the list of top 50 body influencers of all time. I'm just trying to get a picture of her. Okay, I want to say this is her. Let me pull it up. Okay, this is her. I feel like she could, just hit me with her upper arm and I'd get knocked out. So I don't even want to know. Like, I mean, of course, they're gym muscles. There's a difference between actual muscles and gym muscles, but still, that's a python I don't want to get bit by. Like, that thing is terrifying me right now. And I'm okay. I'm not. I don't want to say I'm scared. Let me see. I've known of men that were physically abused, not weak men, just brought up not to hurt. Yeah, and that's what happens with a lot of men. Like they're grown like not to hit women, or not. They shouldn't be hitting anybody, but they kind of just take the abuse, and at the same time they don't seek any help because they don't want to go out and be all like, yeah, I get beat up by my wife or anything like that, because in in today's America, like, the man shouldn't, be getting beat up by women. Like, guys would get mocked, like, you get beat up by a girl and stuff like that. Oh, no, I got beat up by She-Hulk over here. That's the way I would have said it. And yeah, she could do some damage. Let me see if I can pull up another picture or two of her. Oh, damn it. I just opened up a software that's going to probably crash my computer. Don't crash my computer. I love you. Uh, yeah, this is her. Um, yeah, I really don't know what to say, but I have the video here of the abuse.
You got fucking butthurt about it? No, right. Shut up. Fuck your fucking pants. Fuck your fucking pants. Fuck this shit.
Anything.
Keep videotaping it.
I am. This is for my own safety.
Okay, cool. Yeah, you want to fucking delete that shit? I will literally call the fucking cops on you right fucking.
I think he's just jealous because I get a lot of attention.
Okay, so that's like her reasoning. Like, she's saying, she's an influencer. She's the one that, does everything, that he's just jealous. And I don't know if y'all caught it at the end. That's something that also happens a lot, to where women say, like, well, if you, fight back, or if you call the cops, I'm just going to say that you hit me. And it's officers will usually believe it, like, right away, like, oh, this guy's hitting this woman. She could do a lot of damage to a guy. She could probably, like, hurt herself a little bit to, like, rough herself up just to kind of sell the bit. She was arrested, thankfully, but based on the way she looks, I'm sure she probably broke out of prison and like just ripped right through the walls. And that's where it stands right now. This is going. She put all her stuff on private. Even her Instagram is private now, so those hundreds of thousands of followers are the only ones that can actually see her posts at this time. But she's actually been getting in fights with a lot of other influencers who are kind of calling her out. She doesn't like the fact that she's being called out on beating up her husband. Let me see. I think she was fighting with Gwyneth Paltrow, or like her. Let me see. Oh, Yeah, here's another thing. I forgot about this. Apparently, with her, yeah, always good to record it. Whenever you're in any kind of altercation in today's world, it's best just to record. You'll have a recorder. You have a phone like that can record within seconds of grabbing it. The best thing that happened, it happens a lot with the, YouTube drama that's going on that we're going to get to in a little bit. This whole like Ophelia and Mayor and all that stuff. But it's best because usually when people are in the moment, that's when they'll say like, "Oh, I'm gonna tell the cops that you beat me." Or there's even been instances, I was gonna talk about it today, but I didn't do enough research on it, where this guy was abusing his wife, and he made like a lot of threats on saying like what he had planned to do, what he had planned on, ending her, like unaliving her, and like what he was going to do, like basically, premeditated, set his whole plan to her, but she was recording it, so he ended up getting, arrested for it and charged with it because it was it sounded like he already had a plan of what he was going to do. So it's always good whenever you're in any altercation, record what's around you. Like, if I forget to take the meat out when I'm told to, and I know my wife's coming home, I'm hitting that record button right away and be all like, just in case she, calls me names and I cry. She wanted attention? No, she got it. Yep. My thing's too frozen. I can't really drink it right now. I'm kind of sad. But apparently, she tried to hire a hacker to. I forgot what she wanted to do, but she wanted to, like, basically screw over her. Mm, no, but I actually did come across another story that sounds pretty interesting, but this happened a long time ago, so I don't even know if it's worth talking about now. But this woman who tried to have her husband, no. Are we back on? Okay. She didn't like that she was getting the attention that she didn't want. So she tried hiring a hacker to try and take these other influencers down. Hopefully we're back on. I think we're back on. Okay, and the next thing, okay, we talked about some drama going on in a different country. We talked about some influencer drama here in the world. Now let's get a little bit local here. And I haven't been following along. I shared one post that Jaime had posted up. You didn't miss a lot. We just talked about someone who faked their own death to avoid uh, a sexual assault and is now in Scotland. Then we talked about a female influencer, bodybuilder, She Hulk, Dwayne the Rock Johnson type body, who was physically abusing her husband, and she got arrested for it. And then now we're just going to talk about some of the local Reymondville drama. I know I haven't talked about it for a little bit because I don't like it being a majority of my um, topics or anything like that. I like just sprinkling it in here and there because it's interesting to talk to. It's interesting to talk about. It's interesting to, kind of see how people in the world actually act. So that's what I'm talking about. We're gonna go and do like a non-biased thing because anytime I throw in a little bit of my opinion, that's when people cry foul and get upset and call me out and stuff like that. So like we're gonna do a non-biased conversation here about what's been going on in Raymondville. I know those of you who don't know, Ofelia Moreno is running to be the mayor of Reymondville. I don't think it's going that well. By the looks of it, it doesn't look like it's going that well because she was interviewed by a, I guess it's like a political page for Reymondville or for whatever county they're in, and she gave her responses. I was looking at Roy's stuff too. I don't think that's all the luck to everybody. I'm not saying I want, a certain person to fail or anything like that, but both everyone's attempting. There is attempts to actually run a campaign. I don't think it's going that well. I think the current mayor, he's running for re-election. I think he probably has the best chance of winning. And as of 2021, the population of Raymondville was 11,284. It's probably grown a little bit more than there. But yeah, you want the right person to do the job. What you want is someone with experience, and there's nothing wrong with someone running for the first time and winning. It happens all the time. I think it's everyone's right to run. It's if they're able to, they could run. I'm not saying that like, hey, this person's not liked, they shouldn't run, or this person has no experience, they shouldn't run. Everyone should have the chance. That's the whole American, freedom thing. But you should at least have an attempt to have a reason to run. See a change that you want to make that your platform rather than, hey, I want to give this a shot. I know Rory and Ophelia, they don't have experience, but I know Roy Ray. I know Roy has made attempts. He's made appearances at what are those? The city council meetings. He's spoken at the city council meetings. He's pushed for certain things to be put on the docket. I was reading through those. I mean, he seems to have an idea of what he wants to do. He seems to at least have a vision. And Ophelia has her vision. She showed in the video. I'm going to show the video right now where she had certain plans and stuff like that. But I think there's some steps that were missed. I always said that, like, hey, if she wants to run, that's cool. I'm not going to, join any group to go against her or anything like that. Like, it has nothing to do with me, but I am free to talk about it. My suggestion, my recommendation to her was to possibly try and win a seat on city council, like to become, a commissioner, to at least run for a smaller thing, make your presence known in the city, make your name known in the city to where it's mentioned and it's for, oh, they worked on this, or oh, she got this push and stuff like this. Not, oh, she was arrested, because something happened on Halloween, or she was always causing this arguments with people, or she's filing up all these reports and stuff like that. You want your name to be associated with what you're trying to do when you're running for any kind of campaign. And well, let's just watch the video. Let's watch the video. We're gonna analyze it. And I mean, anyone could answer. Like, I haven't bashed her, I haven't said anything bad about her. I'm just giving my opinion on the whole campaign. I talked a little bit about Rory, but yeah, you want to walk before you could run. People don't. I mean, you could give Donald Trump, his thing, but he was already political, like a famous figure. But like, normally people don't run to go be president right away. They, become governor. They, they do their time and then they work up to it. It's like applying for any old job. You don't walk into the place and be like, hey, I have no experience, but I want to be the manager of this place. You don't do that. You work your way up, become a member of the city, and become a good member of the community first, so that way people will be more inclined to be like, yeah, like, this person's done so good at this, I believe they could do more. But yeah, I could critique any video. I could even take her live streams and critique them. It happened before to where I played her video. She took me down for a copyright violation. I presented my argument. It got overturned. That video is back up, which means I think she was. I'm saying I think. I'm not saying she was. I think she was issued a false copyright claim. If you do enough false copyright claims, you get your YouTube taken away for abusing the copyright system with YouTube. But it's completely okay. I even referenced certain law cases where people were attempting to be silenced because they were using someone else's video to talk about like their election. There's a real famous one where this person was critiquing a member of the church who was running for like a higher position in the church. So he was using this person's videos to critique his actions and stuff like that. The pastor or whatever he was sued him and then put a copyright charge on top of it and said like it was harassment, said it was copyright infringement, saying that it was I forgot what the third one was. So he piled all that on. The court decided it's not copyright, it's not harassment. He's able to talk about it. He's able to use your videos to critique it because he is altering the original video. He wasn't just playing the whole video like nonstop, which is what some people do, which is technically copyright infringement, but breaking it up, talking about it, giving the reason why you're showing it and your points against that segment of the video, that is perfectly legal. So I could do it. I choose not to because I see it as a waste of time, but it's okay to talk about every once in a while. It doesn't have to be, an everyday kind of thing. I didn't know how else to find it. I think it was Medusa. So I need to go look for Medusa here. Let me see. Here we go. Oh, let me turn off my music a little bit. Okay, so we're just going to be talking about it. We're not going to. Everyone has opinions of this person. I'm putting it out there because people cried about it because they said that I was telling people that I wasn't telling people to watch their language or anything. I'm just saying, hey, keep it to yourself. I can't force you. I can't force you. I don't block people. I let everyone speak their mind. I'm just asking as a favor, like, hey, if you have rude things to say, there's plenty of other platforms where you could take it. We're just here to talk about this in a logical way, and in a professional way, without having to do the cussing, the insult, and stuff like that.
And I am running for mayor of Reymondville. So what am I bringing to the table? I do believe that we need here to help our senior citizens, in my opinion. We've got to help the senior citizens because a lot of these clinics that we have here send them to Harlingen or somewhere else out of town for bigger exams, heart exams and just other exams, MRIs and stuff. So we do need some sort of public transportation for them. Also, a lot of the streets are broken. These big trucks, the semi owners, I believe that the city might have some sort of a lot, some sort of land that the city can maybe rent, not expensive, something that the truck owners can say, you know what, I can pay that, I can afford that. And we can have the trucks, the semi trucks, not come into the city streets and mess up our streets. I also think that we need something for the kids, a YMCA, something that, somewhere where they can have fun. I think pretty much, I think that's it. Pretty much that's it.
Okay, that was from Willacy County Events. Okay, she made an attempt. It might have been on the spot, so she might not have prepared her whole thing, but I think if you're running for mayor, you should at least already know these are my main points, this is my solution to them, and this is what I want to do. That one, it seemed more like a brainstorming event. And it's okay to have ideas. I mean, I have plenty of ideas. I wish they built a Dutch Bros like at the end of my sidewalk so I don't have to be driving down the like a couple miles every day to go get my Dutch Bros. They seemed very general. They seemed like very general, topics, okay? And I saw kind of as pandering because it's like, okay, I need to cover all my bases. Old people, young people. It's okay, you could do that, perfectly fine. But I would have had more of a solution instead of just throwing out like, hey, we need to do this. This is an issue. This is something that's bothering like the city. A mayor doesn't just throw out ideas. Someone on the city board would, be the one to throw out the ideas and open it up for discussion, and everyone works together. So that's why I think it would have been easier, and she probably would have won a later, campaign to be mayor if she went through the right channels and stuff like this. But that's just my opinion here. Fixing with the old people. I feel bad for calling them old people. The elderly. We'll call them the elderly. The solution with the elderly. Of course, Reymondville's not a big city. They don't even have a chamber of commerce. That's one thing that she could have fought for. Hey, let's get a chamber of commerce here so we could work on getting some business here, which will bring more money into the city, and we could do these bigger things. That should have been like that would have probably been my number one thing to throw out there, because you need businesses for money, you need money to do things. So if you want to make changes, you need to have a chamber of commerce. That goes a long way, rather than independent cities just trying to do it on their own, or like just have an individual like say like, hey, I'm going to open up a franchise here. It could work, but it won't work as well as having a chamber of commerce. Raymondville's not a big city, so it's not like they could get a hospital. I don't think they could probably get like one of those ER standalones, but I don't think they're gonna get like a hospital. I don't think they're gonna get like a psychiatric hospital, or even definitely not a VA. I don't think we should have any VAs here, because that just forces people who actually need it to travel to wherever they are, rather than being able to just go to their local hospital, get their issues. But I'm not running for mayor. I just have a lot of ideas, some better than most, on how we could fix issues. So let me see. The transport issue would be good, but that's going to put the city in a bigger hole, because okay, how much are buses? That's going to cost a lot. The gas going back and forth, that's going to cost a lot. I think it would be best to offer the city to pay for Ubers or rideshare, like any ride shares. Even if Raymondville has to come up with their own rideshare app, it's very easy to develop the app for that and to get people to sign up, because that one gives people jobs of being able to take people back and forth, and two, it's a lot cheaper because you're using someone else's vehicle. They're having to pay for their own gas. Of course, some of the money that they earn is going to go into that gas, but by giving the elderly vouchers, like they could put in a request, get a voucher back. Okay, we'll pay for like half of the trip over there, so you don't have to worry about spending $40 on gas. I don't know how much it is. I'm just assuming like $40 on gas over there. We'll give you a $20 voucher. It'll cover a one-way trip. You just pay for the other half, or you could have family pick you up. It's a band-aid solution, but it's better than saying, hey, we're going to drop all this money on all these vehicles. We are going to form a department, which is going to cost more money to have um, city drivers. Then we're going to have to pay for their insurance. We're going to have to pay for their salary. We're going to have to pay for our gas. We're going to have to pay uh, a, for a hub to put these buses and for everyone to drive to. I think it's easier to start small, develop a rideshare program, maybe even offer it as a volunteer thing. I know a lot of people in Raymondville like to get arrested and stuff, but buying a short bus and having someone do that as their volunteer, their community service, their way to give back to the community. Even have like the mayor or someone who's like high up in the city do it like once a month, twice a month, to keep up appearances, to kind of show that, hey, I care about my community. Look what I'm doing. I'm spending my day driving the elderly to their appointments. I think that would go a long way in both image, cost saving, and just in general. I think it would be able to be done a lot quicker. Like if you want to do a whole like bus thing or a metro, Raymondville's not a metro, but if you want to do like a whole system like that, I think it's going to be insane. The whole road system, depending on what road, you might just have to talk to TxDOT and kind of light a fire under their ass so they could actually go and fix their things. If it's a TxDOT road, if it's a local one, that might just have to be with your city. What is it called? Like with your streets department. I know different cities that I've spoken to before are better than most. They have the better equipment than most. So maybe even just hiring a bigger team, which would be a lot cheaper than renting out a plot of land, forcing everyone to go there, because that's just going to cause a lot of traffic issues. Because if everyone's going and dumping their 18 wheelers there, how are they going to get home? They're going to have someone to get them a ride. So they're going to be dropping off vehicles and having people drive to go pick them up. And it's just going to be like, okay, well, I'm getting dropped off, I'm getting picked up. Like, which way do we go? And it's going to create like just a little chaos situation in there. Plus, a lot of people aren't really going to want to leave their trucks. A lot of truckers, like, that's kind of like their second home. They're not going to want to just leave it in a random parking lot, because there's a lot of bad people in this world, and some bad people in this world will be all like, hey, we got all these nice trucks here parked. I mean, if you're going to have a plot of land there, you're going to hire security, or you're going to have like a 24-hour person, or so is the city going to be paying that person to just stand there and watch the trucks? That's leaving in a very vulnerable part. I'll talk more on the posters, because I want to talk about the Ophelia posters and then the posters that they put on Vanessa's house. So I didn't like that idea. I think it would be a lot better to, people might not like it, but establishing a city like law on where the where the trucks could be parked, and not, and like even doing like a small fine, nothing too big, but just some to where it'll benefit the city. It won't put a hole in the pocket, and it'll just motivate everyone to get some kind of like uniformed stance on where to park these vehicles and how to, kind of take care of the roads and stuff, because these trucks do damage the road a lot. Because I think that's what McAllen does. Like, McAllen, you can't leave the trucks parked on the road. You have to have them either like in a plot of land next to the house or in the driveway. There's a certain way you can and can't park it, and you get fined if like an officer sees it. And it's not that major thing, but it's still something that could help. So that idea would actually bring more money to the city, because even if you do have a plot of land and parking these vehicles on it, not everyone's going to follow it. No, not everyone's going to want to be like, I don't want to park my car 10 miles away and then, in the middle of the night, have my wife go pick me up when I get home or anything like that. They're going to see it easier as, okay, I'm just going to park here. I'll go park it over there like later on. People don't like listening to rules. That's just the way I see it. Now, the whole YMCA thing, okay, it's good to have something for kids. But again, you got to start small. You need to think of a cost effective way to make these changes you want. For the YMCA, just to start, like just to get the franchise of it, like, we're not talking about building costs, we're not talking about staff, we're not talking about anything else that goes into it. Just being able to say, hey, we're building a part of the YMCA is 30 grand. I don't think the city of Raymondville has 30 grand to spare just to say we are going to build it. Like, that's all the 30 grand gets you. Like, we are going to build it. That's not buying the land, that's not buying the building, that's not buying anything else. That's expensive. I saw people saying like, oh, Boys and Girls Club, that's expensive too. Boys and Girls Club is not free. They are both nonprofits, but nonprofits cost you money. It costs a lot to run a nonprofit. When I worked at Palm Valley, Palm Valley Animal Center, PVAC, the one in Edinburgh and McAllen, yeah, it's a nonprofit, but it still costs money to, house these things, to get the supplies that are needed. Staff needs to get paid. They're not they're not nonprofit. They're there for a job. They're there to make money. So my solution, which would be very good in looks for the city, which would be very good cost effectively, would be to, one, have a park, like, do clean up a park. I don't know if there's any parks in Raymondville. I haven't been there in like ever. But have a city park. That's one. If you want to keep kids out of trouble, I mean, kids are going to get in trouble regardless of wherever you put them. But image wise, it would be nice to have a city park, to have, if you want to have a community garden, if you want to like just dress it up, it'd be very pretty. So that way, whenever you do have events or anything like that, they could be held at that park. It could become a real staple in the community. If you want to have something similar to like the YMCA and stuff like that, I suggest writing for a grant. There's lots of government grants that deal with helping small cities thrive, and there's even other grants that help with, that are given to cities, to um nonprofits to companies, and even schools. I think it covers schools also that want to get more physical, like just for physical education, for movement, for community building. I would suggest write a couple of those grants. With those grants, you'd get maybe 5, 10, maybe 15 grand if it's a really good grant. If you have a really good grant writer, that's why it's very important. That's why I study writing, so I could pick that up. It's real easy, like to write grants and do those correctly. It just takes weeks and weeks because you have to turn in like a packet that's like 200 pages sometimes. My biggest one was like a 200-page grant, but it was awarded and it was 50 grand. So I was glad to be a part of that to do it. So I'm saying it's possible. There's a lot of free money out there. Get one of those grants, take the 5, 10, 15 grand it gives you, start an after school program in the elementary and middle school. There, you could have people who volunteer, or you could try and decide on a salary base there. And there, it'll be an after school program to where there could be football, there could be, kickball, there could be just not treat it like a babysitting thing because that's kind of what the Boys and Girls Club was. I see it more as like a babysitting thing, but no, start an organization to where you could have a football league inside of Raymondville. You could have start building like teams. You could divide um, anyone who attends and make it a free thing because that's going to entice more people to join, which is going to make your organization look a lot bigger. Start making teams, and you could have a little football league going on that's just in your city. You could have a little softball league that's going on just in your city. Dodgeball. You could do track and field. A lot of these things don't cost money. Like to have a track and field, all you need to buy is a couple of discus, a couple of shock puts, and you just got to run. That'll probably be the cheapest one, and kids love running, especially if you make it competitive. See if you could either use some grant money to buy like some trophies, or it's also just free to print out certificates. It's free to make just ribbons. Uh, there's a lot of people who would be willing to help out. I mean, I have a cricket here. I can make free ribbons and certificates. I'm sure there's other good people in Raymondville that would be willing to do that for the kids. And by growing that, you'll be able to apply to um, bigger grants and get more money to make your organization bigger. Then from there, you could start reaching out to local businesses. Maybe, one of the kids in the organization has a dad who owns a bakery, or maybe someone's a kid of someone who owns a business. Maybe they want to, have their logo flash on the banner because they're trying to make Raymondville better. So then you could just have donations coming in to just kind of build this up. Once it's big enough, that's when you could, put money down for a building. So that way you don't have to just run it outside of a school anymore. And that would probably be a whole lot better than saying, hey, I'm going to drop, 30 grand on a YMCA and maybe another 50 to 60 grand on building it. And I'm lowballing there. But like it's going to be a big chunk to like make a YMCA, make a Boys and Girls Club. Start small, start local, and that's how you really grow your community rather than bringing other like organizations in. Start your own, so that way you will have the only if you want to call it the Raymondville Raymondville Sports Authority or whatever you want to do. I think that would be a lot better. Like I said, make it competitive. Friendly competition is fun. Make it competitive, and kids would eat that up, and you'd be making the city a much better place on a lot lower cost. Now, when it comes to the posters, I don't think anyone should have any posters damaged or removed. If anyone is caught, I say lock them up. That's illegal to for the posters, especially going on someone's property that someone put. I know Vanessa put the posters on her thing. I actually didn't think the posters are real. I even asked if it was like a Photoshop job. Whoever made those posters, that was a high quality poster. I thought it was fake. But it shows what I know. Now, Ophelia had like her posters ripped off. I don't know the extent of the damage. I don't know if there's a video or photos of how the posters were put up. But from what I saw from what the posters looked like, it looked like they were just like banners that were put up. Nothing wrong. You run your campaign the way you want to. But when you put a... Do I have anything I could use? No, that's my daughter's paper. Um, Here, let's say this is my poster. This is not a poster. This is a family portrait that I did here. I've had this for years. Let's say this is my poster. Put wind behind it, my poster turns into a kite. Which, as we all saw in the valley this past weekend, wind could do a lot of damage. Wind could uproot trees. Planes were flipped over. So if you have something like this, especially if it's a lot longer and bigger, a little bit of wind's going to turn into a kite and it's just going to go off. It could even pull things off the ground. That's why when you see banners done in bigger places, there's like a little slit. You have to cut the banner a little bit so that way air could pass through and it's not just a flat surface being pushed against. That's my theory on what happened with Ophelia's posters. It's easy to point the finger, to make things a little extra dramatic, to go ahead and start building these whole things when I really think it was the wind. I haven't talked to anybody. I've cut ties with a lot of people over all this drama, but I think that's probably what it was. Um, Probably wouldn't see any more signs being ripped and flown or anything like that if there was just a couple of slits of that little like U slit so air could kind of pass through it. That's what I think about that. With Vanessa's signs, I think someone was arrested. I don't know who it was for pulling it because technically that is part of her property. And I don't think it's illegal. Some might say it's in bad taste, but it's everyone's uh, all this. Okay, see, I didn't know that. If I could see like photos of them, like okay, yeah, this looks like it was pulled or this looks like it was ripped. I'm just saying, like coming from an outside perspective, it kind of makes sense that they would see they float like flags, like would just get pushed by the wind. That's all I'm saying. I'm not over here saying like, oh, this is wrong or this person did this or that person did this. I'm just like I'm saying, say I'm doing non-biased. I'm just speaking on what I see and like not really how well, I guess a little bit how I feel, but I'm not saying like this person's wrong, this person's wrong. We're just talking about general things here. Now, with Vanessa's things, I know a lot of people are saying like, "Oh, well, they're political posters, so they have to follow certain rules and regulations." I don't think they are political posters. I think it's just personal signage that she's putting up. I mean, if you all remember the Westboro Baptist Church or whatever that is, that real evil church, they had uh, slurs. They had like all these crazy like flags and banners, but it was on their property, so they were allowed to put it up. I think this is kind of a similar situation to where she could put what she wants because it's her property. If someone wanted to fight it, I'm sure there's a couple of correct steps to go through it rather than just calling the police and like crying foul in a way. There are right ways to fight things. There's wrong ways to fight things. I don't know the specifics of what they're classified as. I know they paid a fine, but not a fine, but they paid like a deposit to put the signs up, or they didn't. It was kind of back and forth. Like I said, I haven't been listening. I've been kind of out of it. I'll chime in here and there for a few minutes at a time, but it's not like I sit down and watch everything. But I think that's just like I have a flag. I don't have a flag here. It was in my other house, but I had a flag that was like super pro Empire for Star Wars, and I was gonna fly that outside. Like some people might say it's goofy, some people might laugh at it, some people might think it's shouldn't be done because hey, it's the Empire. They're basically like the Nazis of Star Wars universe. But if it was my property, I'm allowed to put that up. I'm not gonna go ahead and put like slurs or anything uh really bad. And I don't think those signs were really that bad. They were just negative. But if they're on her property, I believe Vanessa is allowed to do it. They got taken down by somebody. That person got arrested. Good. I'm saying if anyone's caught damaging Ophelia's things, hey, they should get it too. It should be, equal on all sides. And that's the way I've always said it. Like, hey, if you're going to go this far and do these actions, you got to suffer the consequences. Yeah, a huge majority of the population might either like this person or dislike it, but I don't think there should be any favorable outcomes. So is what I'm saying. Um, despite this, I'm sure people will still disagree with what I say and be upset just because it's me in general. But hey, that's my opinion. I'm allowed to do it, and I'm allowed to have it on my platform here. But I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up already. Like I said, I worked close to 60 hours. I actually worked 5 days this week. That is super rare for me to actually work 5 days in one week. Usually it's three, usually it's four, but to actually work five, I am drained, and I just want to go home. I'm already home. I just want to go make some dinner, watch a couple of wrestling videos, maybe play a video game, and see what happens tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow we could talk about something else that comes up. If there's a reaction to this, if Elia's upset with what I said, if Jaime's upset with what I said, if Manny wants to chime in on it, um, that's cool. Then I could react to that reaction. It could just be a rotating circle. But I am going to bring some other news in tomorrow. I kind of want to talk movies with the new Exorcist, with the new Willy Wonka, with a new Kung Fu Panda. I, I mean, just to talk about movies, it's nice to take a little break from the drama, but it's nice to bring the drama up every now and then. So I will see you all later. You have a good one. See you all on Monday or maybe Tuesday. I don't know yet.